Hi there, my name's Ian, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So you may remember, if you followed my channel for a bit, that one of the very first reviews I did was of Robin Trower's Bridge of Sighs box set last year. At the time, I was enthusiastic, if a bit critical, of some of the choices made. But, of course, I was eager for more Trower music in this presentation. A year later, and we have Trower's third album, For Earth Below, getting the 50th Anniversary Deluxe Package. So you might have thought that I'd have been very eager to pick this up, but the lack of a multi-channel mix this time had me hesitating. Furthermore, the Bridge of Sighs set had rather poor mastering choices on the CDs, and that was rectified on the included Blu-ray disc. That's strike two against my purchase of For Earth Below 50th. Gradually, though, I remembered how much I really like For Earth Below. After all, this is peak Robin Trower. Still relatively fresh from his exit from Procol Harum, full of ambition and fire, and the added confidence of a hit album under his belt. It's maybe not as good as Bridge of Sighs, but there's one or two songs on this album that I like even better. Confessin' Midnight, Alethea, Gonna Be More Suspicious, It's Only Money. Like, there's some really strong stuff here that rivals or even surpasses the best tunes on Bridge of Sighs for me. With For Earth Below, Robin was pushing his unique brand of soulful, bluesy stoner rock into new, funkier territory. This is also the album where the classic Robin Trower lineup cemented. Jimmy Doerr's soulful voice and bass playing augmented by former Sly and the Family Stone drummer Bill Lorden. Nothing against Reg Isidore, but Lorden's complexly syncopated drumming style elevates the 70s Trower albums for me, and he's a great foil to Robin's improvisations. In fact, the booklet for this revealed that Bill Lorden auditioned for Jimi Hendrix's band and had jammed with him, and Lorden actually had turned down a chance to play at Woodstock with Jimmy, so he was a natural fit for Robin's band. I had a gift card for Laser CD and managed to snag this release for 50% off, and I'm very glad I did. There's really a lot to enjoy here, and I have overall positive things to say, albeit with some reservations. On disc 1 here, we have the original 1975 mix remastered by Phil Kinraid. For my money, this might be the best thing in the set. I've owned a couple of different versions of For Earth Below, including the original Chrysalis CD, the BGO Master, and the 2011 Peter Mew remaster. I still think that the Chrysalis CD sounds pretty nice, but surprisingly, I did find that Mew's 2001 master is a little bit of an upgrade. The 2025 one, included here, to me, surpasses them all. To my ears, there's little to no audible dynamics lost in the new masters, but what we do gain is a ton of bottom end and punchiness. In fact, the whole mix is very punchy, lifelike, and full, especially Bill Lorden's drums, which I think maybe benefit the most from the new master. They're incredibly clear and easy to discern. I was marveling at how complex his playing is here. Robin Trower's guitar tones sound natural and warm, and Doerr's bass is present and heavy without overtaking the mix. Without exaggeration, I believe this will be my listening copy from now on. Disc 2 is the new stereo remix by Richard Whittaker, who also mixed Bridge of Sighs for stereo, 5.1, and Dolby Atmos. Generally, I'm very glad that this new mix exists, as it does offer extended versions of the 8 album tracks. More prominence is given to a lot of Robin's leads, and I noticed that a lot of unused leads were mixed back in. Unfortunately, it is a bit of a misfire for me on the whole, as it alters the nature of Robin's tones, and some of the vocal timbres a little too much for my liking. The use of reverb and other effects on Robin's lead guitar parts tends to make them less clear to my ears, and the whole thing comes off sounding a bit too modern for my liking. I think this mix is great as a curiosity, but not much more. I'm always up to hear more vintage Robin solos, so I'll definitely return to it, but it will never replace the original to me. On to disc 3, Outtakes and Rarites. The first 5 tracks on this disc are some of the best things in the set for me, though there's no information about them in the booklet, so it's going to be very difficult for me to talk about them. This was my same criticism with the outtakes included on the Bridge of Sighs set. Without the historical context that liner notes could offer, they are enjoyable, if a bit baffling. I did really appreciate hearing alternate vocal takes, of course, from Jimmy Dewar, and we do get one unreleased track entitled Happy, which is very nice. Tracks 6 through 11 on Disc 3 consist of Robin's appearance as a guest on BBC Radio Top of the Pops, and again, I'm a little bit confused by it. It's of course very nice to hear Robin's interview clips, and to hear his perspective on his career in 1975. However, they included the broadcast versions of a few of the studio tracks, and I just don't see how this is necessary. It's an instant skip button for me. Then, we have some tracks from Robin's BBC concert from the 29th of January 1975. This is a previously released concert, and it's vastly incomplete. Finally, we end on an extract from the September 1974 Church Jam session. This is a fascinating excerpt from a much longer recording, but it is the first time Bill Lorden jammed with Robin and Jimmy. Stylistically, it represents a little-known side of Robin. Producer Matthew Fisher joins on organ, with Lorden channeling Billy Cobham, and Robin riding the line between Frank Zappa and John McLaughlin. It's a pity, though, that this is only a small part of a much larger 2.5-hour tape that circulates. In fact, you can hear that 2.5-hour outtakes tape here on YouTube. There's also further studio outtakes in that video that circulate from these sessions, and it makes me wonder, where are they? Why not tack the 2025 stereo remix at the end of Disc 1? It would surely fit, and it would open up the second disc for more outtakes jams. Further, I would eliminate the Top of the Pops program, except for the Robin interview segments, of course. This is also, I think, where a Blu-ray disc would have come in handy. I think all of this content and more could have fit snugly with a proper multi-channel mix. So, unfortunately, the phrase that I would use to sum up this box set is missed opportunity. But hold on, there's still one more disc. And it's pretty good. Disc 4 is Robin live at the Shrine Auditorium, Expo Hall, LA, March 16th, 1975. As far as I'm aware, and as the packaging indicates, this has not been previously issued. And it's a burner, man. What a joy it is to hear a concert from early on, and in Robin Trower's classic lineup period. Comparing this to the Record Plant show included in last year's Bridge of Sighs box set, it's apparent how well Bill Lorden fits the band. It's his Hendrix connection. He's perfect for Robin, and he really elevates the material here, which is all selections taken from Robin's first 3 albums. While maybe this concert is a bit harsh sounding at first, my ear adjusted to the sound, and I had a really great time with it. Behind the new master of the For Earth Below album, which is included on Disc 1, Disc 4 is my second favorite thing in the set, and it's really close. It's stoner rock funk heaven. Finally, we have the packaging to discuss. Unfortunately, Chrysalis decided to use the same style as the Bridge of Sighs box set, which I also criticized last year. The discs slot into the pages of the book set, which makes it impossible to read the book without removing them. Even worse, the way that they are situated in the packaging makes them rub together, which raises concerns about scratching. Luckily, I still had some 4 CD cases around that I bought for the Bridge of Sighs release last year, and now the packaging is for display only. The liner notes from David Sinclair are very much worth reading. They paint an excellent, if brief, picture of the era, and are supplemented with interviews from Robin, Bill Lorden, as well as producer Matthew Fisher. I found them interesting and informative. It's a pity, though, that there's very little background on the outtakes included, and maybe I'd like some notes from Richard Whittaker on the creation of the new mix. So there you have it. Is For Earth Below 50th Anniversary Edition worth getting? I say it is, especially if you love this album and can get it for a decent price. The original album maybe has never sounded better to me than it does on the Disc 1 2025 Remaster. The remix on Disc 2 is a fascinating listen for devotees and a peek into the recording process. It's just a shame that it wasn't mixed with a little bit more of an ear toward the original tones and effects. I also would have liked if a multi-channel mix were included, though maybe there would be limitations to it given the trio format. It's just a shame that it wasn't mixed with a little bit more of an ear toward the original tones and effects. I also would have liked if a multi-channel mix were included, Dolby Atmos or 5.1, though maybe there would be limitations given the trio format and relatively few overdubs. But For instance, think about the opening of Gonna Be More Suspicious, where Robin is kind of deconstructing the riff into 2 harmony parts. I think that would have been so sweet in multi-channel. Disc 3 has some enjoyable material, but it could have been a whole lot more. I'm also confused why this radio program with broadcast quality studio tracks was included. And while I certainly enjoy hearing Robin's perspective from back then, it would have been preferable to me to simply include the interview portions. The BBC sessions are incomplete, and I believe there should have been more of the jam sessions included, especially as those circulate. Disc 4 is the previously unissued concert, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of the highlights for me for sure, with great performance and energy. So with those caveats, if you want it, go for it. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this video and would like to hear further updates from me, please subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave me a comment below, letting me know if you intend to pick up the For Earth Below 50th Anniversary Edition. Till then, I'll see ya.